Hi everyone, this is Paul here from the Magdalene Centre. Today I'm doing the astrology report for the week commencing the 27th of June, highlighting some of the key aspects and transits for the week and explaining what they will mean for us. Before I do that, I just want to clarify, as I always do, that astrology doesn't control our lives in any way, shape or form. It's just a way of helping us to understand what kind of influences are the planetary energies having at the moment, what kinds of spiritual lessons can we be looking at to learn at this time, and how can we be more aware of what's going on around us so that we respond to situations rather than react. But it's entirely up to each and every one of us to actually do that and apply it to our lives. It doesn't just happen to us automatically, so we can just sit back and do nothing. We have to participate. So I'll start off as usual with the moon's transit. The moon starts off in Sagittarius, so this is a time where we may be looking at exploring new truths, or entertaining new ideas or new ways of seeing the world and trying to understand our relationship to the world. But on the same day, the moon will move into Capricorn, and this will be a time where we may feel that need to focus on implementing the insights or applying the new ideas through practical measures. It's also about taking responsibility for our lives, and with the full moon in Capricorn happening on Thursday, this further emphasises this particular issue. So with the full moon in Capricorn, I'll obviously go and do another video in more detail, but essentially it's about balancing our subjective internal world with the objective external, and it's about striking that balance between staying in touch with our emotions, our core feelings and our dreams, but at the same time operating objectively in the world, so assessing what actions need to be taken in order for these dreams to become a reality. Where do we need to use more patience and discipline, and where do we just need to get real and stop navel gazing and instead focus on the objective issues at hand and assess what actions do we need to take in order to make things happen. We also then, on Saturday, the moon will move into Aquarius. This will be a time where I may feel the need to kind of step back and take stock of our situation. So what is our relationship with our community, what role do we play within it, and potentially how can we better help with it. And then on Monday, the moon will move into Pisces. This is a time for letting things go, of reflecting and observing, or trying to get a sense of feeling a sense of oneness. It's not just a mental understanding that we're one, it's about that feeling of compassion, of meditating on that sense of oneness and going through a spiritual renewal of sorts as we allow the Piscean energy to dissolve any emotional issues and allow compassion and empathy to strengthen within us. Now, in terms of the rest of this week, I've already mentioned briefly the full moon in Capricorn. On Wednesday, we'll have the exact opposition between Sun and Saturn, and this particular aspect will be present throughout the week and will still be going very strong at the full moon in Capricorn. So this marks the midpoint of the Saturn retrograde, and quite often around this time it's an opportunity to observe where do we engage in any kind of projection, or where do other people use as a hook for their projections. And with it being Saturn, we're looking at where do we have projections where either we're being the person resisting taking responsibility and balking at taking any kind of responsibility for ourselves, or embracing greater degrees of discipline. Conversely, where do we play the role of the almost like a parent role, where we're trying to remind people that if they want things to actually happen, or if they want to grow or evolve from something, they actually have to take responsibility of themselves. They have to pay more attention to the consequences of their actions and take responsibility for those consequences in order for them to learn from it, so they don't repeat it further down the line. And with this aspect is still very strong. In fact, the full moon is almost exactly on Saturn, so this will further, it's like a double whammy of Capricorn, because Saturn is in his home sign of Capricorn and is the ruler of this particular full moon coming up. So Saturn's themes of needing to work on our sense of discipline, our self-control, our patience, our perseverance and our resilience in the face of adversity. So do we give up at the first obstacle, or do we keep going? Do we persevere and figure out how can we overcome the obstacle and become strong in the process? On Thursday, Ceres will be moving out of Leo and into Virgo, having been in Leo for a few months now. With Ceres moving into Virgo, this is a time when we'll be looking at nurturing ourselves and others through helping one another develop skills and self-mastery. So it's it's nurturing people through helping to cultivate that sense of ability, that sense of self-sufficiency. So how can we help someone learn a skill so that it empowers them to perform the same tasks for themselves rather than being dependent on other people? How can we aid in instilling a sense of discipline and patience and the wherewithal to keep working hard and dedicate time and effort to a skill so we become good at it? And likewise, how can we teach these skills to other people, and how can we learn from one another? So how can we work on these skills within ourselves so that we can then help other people better through? And with Virgo also dealing with health, it's how do we nurture ourselves through things like physical exercise, through meditation to work on the mind, through a reasonably conscious diet so that we're nurturing the body, and we recognise that the body is the temple, and if we want to have a fairly robust life, then we have to honour the temple and give it the things it needs rather than filling it with junk. We also have Mercury moving into Leo on Friday, so this is a time where it's moving out of Cancer, so cultivating that emotional awareness, so having a mental understanding of how emotions work, to moving into a mental understanding of creativity, of becoming more creative with our wording through developing greater degrees of creative self-expression. But for us to really manifest at its highest, the thing we need to be looking at is how can we work on understanding that creativity isn't ours as such. It's a divine creative force flowing through us. It's not ours to own, but we are stewards of it and we can use it. But it's important that that divine creative force is used in a positive and honest way. So it's based on a truthful expression of it, and it's based on being a vessel for that force to flow through. So it's getting rid of any mental attachments to our creativity and allowing that creative force to flow through us so that we become vessels or the transmitters of that creative impulse. And then on Sunday we've got Juno moving out of Aries and into Taurus. This is where Juno represents soulmate relationships, whether this be romantic, very deep friendships with one another. In some cases it's business, it could be teacher-disciple, but whatever the nature of the particular relationship is between two people, we're moving away from the need for a sense of autonomy within our relationships, so the need to be acknowledged as a separate sense of self, to a need for a kind of groundedness and stability within the relationship through taking those steady actions to nurture one another and to help one another. And it's learning to share our resources with one another, so it's not just the me, myself and I, what can I get, how can I get more. It's how can we share what we have with one another so that there's more to go around, and it nurtures both parties within relationships. So it's the honest and equal sharing of resources through being prepared to share the resources we have with the other person, as long as of course the other person respects us and isn't just using us. If they are using us, of course, then obviously it's best to cut ties or set firm boundaries to make it clear that we're not there for someone else to leech on. We're prepared to share our resources if that's the right thing to do, but we're not prepared to be used by someone else in order for them to get the things they need at the expense of someone else. So there's quite a lot to take on board there. There's obviously we're building up towards a Chiron retrograde, but that's not until the Wednesday after, so I'll go into much more detail in next week's report for that. But with Chiron slowing down in Aries, we're moving to the point where it'll turn retrograde, and we then need to work on exploring the nature of our wounds, exploring the wounds to the I am, and paying close attention to what words we say after the phrase I am, to figure out how do we undermine our sense of self through using disempowering words after I am, because whatever we say after the words I am defines who we are, and the world around us then reflects that back to us. So we have to choose more mindfully what our choice of words are. So I hope this is useful guide for this week. There's a fair amount to take on board, then a lot of changes. At least 3 planetary bodies are moving sign. But I hope this week brings you a lot of opportunity for growth, a lot of opportunity for greater self-understanding, and opportunity to release anything that doesn't serve you anymore, so that you can work on things that do serve you and create space for something that will honour your spirit and will enable you to be the best version of yourself. So may this upcoming week bring you many blessings. Take care.